Hello and welcome to another episode of the King Ugly Crew. Tonight,
Oh, hey.
Wow, Lonnon.
Hi, everyone. Wow, trying to
hey.
imitate Tashi.
Tashi and Sarah, and now both of my girls. Every time they walk into a room,
I love
hey.
it. Oh, hey.
So welcome to another episode of the King Ugly Crew. It is book club night, and tonight we are reading The Go-Giver. And who are the authors? Somebody tell me who the authors are.
It is Bob Burg and John David Mann.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was going to say something like that.
Thank you. I knew it was two guys. I just didn't have it right in front of me. Super quick read, super easy to get through. If you listen to it on Audible at about 1.5 times, you do it in about 2 hours.
Yeah, no more than 2 hours.
40. Well, I think it's an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, Lonnon did it like right before we did this podcast, so
Lonnon's going to have the best answers because I read it like 2 weeks ago.
Oh dang! Yeah, I finished it earlier today.
Yeah, I just half of about 2 weeks ago, and I finished the other half.
Yeah, that's what I did actually.
I read all of it from 5 o'clock to now.
Dang,
that's paperback.
Read it.
Oh, you read it on paper.
Yeah. So if that shows you my reading speed, I am pretty slow actually. I didn't get to the last 2 chapters of it, but I've read this book 7 times, so
I think you'll be all right. You sound well prepared.
1.5 times is 1 hour 56 minutes.
About 2 hours. Oh, who's so smart?
Well, you drop off the last 25 minutes because it's all discussion questions at the end of it.
Questions.
True. Yeah, it's like 20 minutes.
Hour and a half. Look who's so smart, Lonnon.
Lonnon wins.
Dang it.
Oh, cool.
All right. So we have some questions, and I think we are getting some of our questions from the end of the book. There are discussion questions at the end of the actual book, and then we are also taking some questions from the website shortform.com. Called 15 Essential The Go-Giver, discussing the questions from there. And as usual, we will probably come up with our own questions and our own discussions, and we'll go off topic, and we'll go on tangents, and we'll come back.
We'll make this a King Ugly Crew podcast. Definitely.
Always. All right. Caseman, you got shall we do a quick synopsis of the book?
Baron, read the cover.
Read the cover? Okay,
yeah,
so the cover.
Have it.
A little story about a powerful business idea.
Dang, that was good.
That was really yes, that's all it says. It says The Go-Giver, a little story about a powerful business idea.
But there's got to be a synopsis inside the front cover or something, or on the back.
No, he's got the paperback.
Sorry, I'm going through it right now. Give me 1 second.
Gosh, how do you not have this ready? We put you on a spot or something. Basically, it's just a parable, right?
Sure. So it's absolutely a parable. So. It's a story about a guy who is this kind of go-getter business guy. He's working on a whole bunch of different accounts. They're getting near the end of their quarter of all their financial reports. And this guy is trying to win this big kahuna account or the big BK account. And so he feels he's losing it. So he heard about this guy who has all of this clout. And so he goes and talks to one of his business associates and says, hey, can you get me this phone number? She can't give it to him. Tells him, hey, you can get it from this other guy who's one of the big wigs at the company, but they're not quite sure why that guy's there. Yeah, Gus. And basically gets in contact with him. Very much a go-getter type guy. I mean, he calls him up and says, hey, can I meet with you? And this guy is all like, sure, no problem. Well, his secretary on the phone basically says, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll set up an appointment for you Saturday morning. This is Friday night, by the way. So, like, no notice at all. And this is like a guy that's worth, like, probably, I would say in today's money, probably billions of dollars. And just says, yeah, sure, I'll meet with you. No, I've never met you before in my life, but I have no problem meeting with you.
Well, no, what's funny is it was the secretary. Yeah, he'll meet with you. It was like, don't you want to check with him? Yeah, and she's like, oh, no, he'll meet with you. I'll set it up right now. Really? It's just kind of interesting. But that's how you would think if you were in that type of a world. Well, I don't have time for that.
Whereas, and then it kind of ends right there at the end of the phone call, and then it goes to the next morning, and he goes and meets with this guy. And this guy is just, I think one of my favorite quotes from the book, and the thing that kind of made it real for me, is the way they describe him is he's like this 50 to 60-year-old looking man. Come to find out that's not true. But he has a storyteller's voice, and I loved that description because it's like, oh, we can all kind of relate that. I think Dad has kind of a storyteller's voice, and Lonnie kind of has a storyteller's voice because they just know how to tell a story, and they know how to use their voice to tell that story.
Skyla.
Yep. Oh, me?
I've always been very impressed with your storytelling.
Oh,
very impressed.
Thank you.
So, and then the story kind of develops from there. I don't know. I've been talking a lot. Somebody else want to take over for a second?
So basically, this guy Pinder is the multi-billionaire guy. Says, "I will show you the 5 principles of what is it, guys? What's the term he uses?
Success.
Success.
Like
so. He's the chairman.
It's the 5 laws of stratospheric success. That's what it is.
Yep.
So he says, I will show these to you, but you have to do 2 things. Is it 2 or just 1 thing? I'm trying to remember. Sorry,
just
guys.
One.
Just one. You have to put it into place
that day.
The day that he teaches you. So
it was 2 things. He had to meet with him every day.
Yeah, meet with him every day.
And the second one was he had to do the thing.
Yes, that's
every
right.
day.
So, and we'll get into those values, and then basically just a big story about how this guy changes his entire path that he's done.
Perspective. I would say changes his perspective. It's kind of his paradigm shift.
Agreed.
Yes, very much so.
Yep.
So cool. Let's jump into this thing. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
before we do that, we should probably talk about what those 5 laws are. Before, or do one of the questions address that?
No. Just go ahead and give it, Skyla.
Okay.
They're the big bold letters. Just to figure out how to help you. Well, I have them.
All right. So the first one is the law of value. And you have to increase your value. Not necessarily your price, but your value.
What it says, the law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment.
Good job, Baron.
Excellent. I can cheat. I have the book.
Excellent. So I'm just going to say the law, and then you're going to tell me what it is.
Sounds like it.
Okay. So the next one is enlarging the number you serve. It's kind of self-explanatory.
The law of compensation.
Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them.
In other words, your impact.
Okay, so the third one is the law of influence. So what's that one?
Getting there. Sorry.
That's okay.
The
Sorry,
third
it was too fast.
The go-giver descriptions.
Okay, sorry. Third law, the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first.
Stop keeping score. Yep.
Okay, the fourth law is the law of authenticity.
That one's like super self-explanatory.
Yeah, the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself.
Just
authentic.
Be you.
All right. The final law is the law of receptivity.
The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving.
Okay, so those are the 5 laws, and I don't know about you guys, but most of them it was kind of a duh.
Yeah, I would say that pretty much how it was for me.
So in that list, real quick, my first question I want to pose is, are any of those laws hard for you guys to comprehend or to see into your life?
The last one is probably the hardest.
I agree with you 100%, Lonnon. That was about the one I was going to say. I find it very difficult to take or to be given something. Like help, I'm the worst at, taking help from somebody.
Receiving. That is probably one of the hardest things to learn, because we all want a guy out there, and we all want to be that guy that's able to help and give. But it's like the analogy they give in the book. You can't exhale forever. You have to inhale. Like, it's just a give and take relationship.
Yeah, one isn't effective without the other. So giving without the act of receiving doesn't work.
Correct.
For me, it's the authentic. I am like Dad in that I want to be what you, and so I have a hard time. Like, how I act depends on who I'm with, which comes in really handy when I'm at a photo shoot. Like, normally I'm big and loud and goofy and trying to make people laugh, but if I've got a kid who's super shy,
but that is you.
How is that? But that's not how I am
that's
naturally.
No, that doesn't mean that. So
but you're adaptable.
But yeah, that you're being you by doing these things that help other people. So that's you still being authentic, in my opinion.
I feel being unauthentic is like how Davenport says that she learned every type of clothes, right? How to close every way, never sold a single house. And then as soon as she was authentic, that's when she sold a house. It would be the same as if I, on the phone with somebody, was trying to sell them diesel parts. Oh, yeah, this will work great on your truck because it's the only one that I actually have in my shop right now and I can send you. Not because I actually think it will do, because I'm trying to sell it to them because I know I have it. Not because I actually think it's the best thing for their particular application.
Gotcha.
And I never try to do that. I mean, it's one of those things of, am I going to be honest to the person I'm selling to, or am I just trying to sell it because I want to make my numbers look good?
Yeah, and I think that, especially with selling, because this book seems to me, and it's not specifically for salespeople, but it seems very sales oriented.
Yep.
I think especially for salespeople, your motivation for sales is, even if it's not obvious, even if it's not apparent to anybody, it will be how your business goes. If your motivation is just to make money, then you might for a little bit, but it's not, I don't think, continue for a long time.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the very first question of, yes, money is a good motivator, but money shouldn't be the motivator or the first motivator, like it says in his very first meeting. They said, hey, we need to get going the same direction. I mean, yes, money isn't a bad thing to go after, but it shouldn't be the main or the first thing you go after.
It should be the result of what you do that becomes because of it.
So I guess let's talk about the first one.
I disagree with that a little bit. Because if you only approach money as an afterthought, then a lot of time, and I've found this in especially my photography business, the people that I have given photo shoots to for free do not value them, and the people that I charge money to them value them, if that makes sense.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So
because
if
you
money,
can't put a value on.
So if money is an afterthought and money isn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because maybe you can clarify what you meant.
Oh, well, what I was going to say is that he's not saying that you can't charge for something that takes you time to do, but it shouldn't be the only motivating factor to be doing that.
Right.
That shouldn't be why you're doing it. You should do it, one, you enjoy doing photography stuff. So that's why you should be doing it, but the money should be the secondary factor. But you're right, people that got it for free don't appreciate it and don't value it the same way somebody that did pay money.
Right. So I think we have to be careful about, money isn't, not saying that money isn't the motivator, because it should be a motivator. Like it's easy to be so selfless that you forget to receive the money. And then how do you take care of your family or yourself? And how do you continue to do that thing that you love if you can't afford to do it? So money definitely has to be in the equation, but you're right, it shouldn't be the only you're trying to do, because then, and maybe not
Yep.
right.
Yep. All right, so we've got the first area. Case, do you want to read, or Skyla, you want to go for it? It looks like those are the bullet points or questions, right? Yeah, they are the questions.
Yeah, it's the bullet question. So the first value we're going to talk about is giving value, the law of value. And so the first question we pose in this short form, it is, can you think of an experience, for instance, a business or personal transaction in which you received more than you paid for or gave in return? And we'll go on to the second one. What was the experience and how did it make you feel?
That's a good question. I think we're all thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I think we're all in that same thought process, trying to figure out, because I know I've experienced something. I'm just trying to figure out. Or I think, honestly, the thing that I really liked working at Discount Tire was that the fact that most of our services were free there, and that really made the customer, it made the experience much more pleasing for the customer. Like someone had a bad day with a flat tire or something, and a flat tire repair at Discount Tire is free, 100% free. You pull in, we'll do the entire repair for you. And that always made me feel like I was doing something for somebody that really made their day.
Yeah, service of some sort. Yeah.
I think about Bonisans with Lonnon, and all of us love that place.
Oh, Bonisas?
Yes. And how, yes, their food is excellent, but they're also over the top on service, at least when we come.
Not just that, but she's also, if I ask for something that's not on the menu, well, like I just ask her for, I'm just like, make me that you like, that you think I like, and she's more than willing to do that, and I'll pay whatever because but it's not something on the menu. Something that if she's trying something new, she'll bring it out for us to try and say, hey, try this, tell me what you think, because she wants our opinion. But it's not just nice that we're getting extra food or anything like that. It's nice that she values our opinion, I think, is what's nice about that.
So the value is that she values.
Maybe.
I mean, that's not a terrible thing. Making a customer feel valued is a really good business practice.
That can go jump directly to point number 3 with Davenport again. The only thing she had to give in selling house was her own personal value, her own personal experience.
So Davenport is one of the mentors in the book.
Deborah Davenport. Yep.
And all of these people are fictional.
No, the only one that's fictional is Joe.
Oh, everybody else is real?
Pandora was real. Sounded like Davenport was real. Gus was real. He was a real person. I don't know if it was Gus. That's what I got from it. Maybe Case and Scott or Baron got something different. But
I think they are all fictional. They're all based off of real people, but they are all fictional as far as I'm aware because they go on to 3 other series of books that kind of base off of this story, but telling different perspectives. So I do believe they are all allegories in a way. I don't believe they are actually stuff of real people.
Word of the day. Nice, Baron.
I'm pretty sure because just listen to the rest of it. They go through a bunch of these questions, and one of them is, was it true? And they're like, well, this person was real and this person was real, and the whole 5th value was it was just as much of a shock for us as it was the reader, because we came to that realization at the end when we were writing it.
Interesting.
So to add on to that question, so let's say with Benisa's, how did it impact your next interaction with that business or person?
Well,
I'm constantly telling people to go there.
Yeah, we always go back.
We all go there, and it's all because of Lonnon.
And Skyla, we'll have to take you at some point. I'm sure you've heard of the pho curry down here. Pho
curry.
Okay.
Do you know what pho is? And do you know what curry is?
Yeah.
Put them together.
That is hilarious.
It's fantastic.
It is so good.
To put it into contrast, it's like I really like Park Place. I know Lonnon likes Park Place, but Griff won't go there.
I'm not a fan of it either.
I don't mind the food, but it's expensive for what it is.
It is really expensive. I know the owner, like, she always makes a point to come out and talk to us. She always makes a point to come out and say hi to the kids. Like, she always makes us a priority every time we walk in the door. And that's why I go back.
That's how it was with me when I've been there. And I have a hard time justifying that. I guess that's another nice thing with Benisa's. I feel like the value is much higher. I get more for what I pay from Benisa's than I do at Park Place.
So I have a place kind of like that, and I think I told you guys this last weekend. For our 20th anniversary, we went to a restaurant called Hall's Chop House, and it's in one of the old Charleston row houses. Beautiful building, and so I made the reservation and told them that it was our 20th. And when we walked in, the owner was, one of the co-owners was standing there, and he asked us who we were, and I told him, and as soon as he looked down and he saw our name, he said, "Oh, happy anniversary, 20's a big one." And I said, "Yep." And we went upstairs, our table was upstairs. So as we're walking up the stairs, about 7 people said, "Happy anniversary," or "Congratulations on 20 years, that's a big deal," or, like, all the way up the stairs.
That's awesome.
Everyone knew who we were. Everyone. And we sat at our table.
Had you been there before?
Never. It was
wow.
Like, our friend Matt, who paid for our wedding night hotel, sent us a gift card for Hall's, and it was a $250 gift card. I'm like, oh, awesome, we'll be able to go there 4 or 5 times. No, we had to pay. It was just me and Mike, and we had to pay the tip out of our pocket. And
wow,
will tell you, it was worth every last cent, every single penny of it. It was the most exquisite dining experience I have ever had in my entire life. And the food was phenomenal, but the experience is what took it over the top. They knew exactly how much to come and check on us. They knew when to leave us alone. They, gave us free dessert for our anniversary. They just treated us, made us feel very and
valued. Yeah,
valued. And so for our very last meal in South Carolina, we took the girls back to Hall's for lunch, and because we didn't want them to think that they could go back because. Oh my god. But also we wanted them to see what a really fine dining experience and to have a great memory of South Carolina before we left. But it still is the most phenomenal dining experience I've ever had. It was perfection.
So it didn't disappoint the second time?
No, it was, it was lunch, so it was a little less fancy and
right.
And it wasn't our anniversary, but still we were valued and it feels good to be valued. So.
Well, that just your story, Skyla, is pretty on point with the story that's in the book with the guy in his restaurant, hot dog business that he starts out. He just made the value of the hot dog so much more. That's how he grew his business to multiple different locations of now fine dining restaurant because he made the customer the value. Like he just made them feel like, wow, I'm so happy I came here kind of feeling.
This was a great lunch break. I'm ready for work.
Yeah.
I got a hot dog.
I mean, everyone likes to be recognized. Right. Everyone likes to be recognized and be valued. I mean, valued. I mean, that's the whole point of it. Like if you go to a restaurant or to somewhere, you want people to say, you know what, we really appreciate whatever you guys did. Here we are. Yeah, all that. You just want to be appreciated.
I think that's why Disney is the standard for theme parks, because you go there, or at least I do. I go there and just everything feels like they've done everything to make you feel good. I loved it.
Yep, I don't feel that way.
I would live there if it wasn't.
Gotcha. All right, so we got the last question, right?
Yeah.
For the law of value.
For the first portion here, yeah. What's a way you can add value for someone this week? How can you increase the value beyond any payment or return you might get? Baron.
Can you repeat the question?
What's a way you can add value?
I think it more or less goes back to being genuine. I mean, when you're genuine and you try... Okay, here's an example. So let's say I have somebody call in and they say, I don't know what part to buy for my truck. I don't know what turbo I should get. And I lay it out. I'm all like, well, here's this choice, here's this choice, here's the prices on all of them, and here's the one that I think's best for your application. I mean, they're calling in to get my experience, and they're not calling in for me to sell them a part. They're calling in to get experience. And yes, buying the part is that transaction, but adding value is that experience. I'm not just some pushy salesman that's saying, hey, you should buy this because I have it on the shelf and I have a huge profit margin in it. No, it's saying, here, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to get to know you, I'm going to get to know what you use this product for, and then I'll be able to genuinely be able to tell you, hey, this is the best product for your application.
Yeah, I mean, like that's something we push in a big way at Power Driven is the value is our salespeople that aren't going to try and push you something. They just want to get you what you need or want that will work the best for you for your application. So I think that's certainly something that Baron is more than capable of doing, not only every week, but every day, multiple times.
My boss is really good at adding value in a different way. So he's very at making me feel valued. So he's really good at acknowledging my accomplishments and letting me know that he's liking what I'm doing and that I should keep doing it and that it'd be lost without me. He said that, but that's what I fill in. So I think adding value is also putting the focus on the other, and Baron said this a bit too, where it's putting the focus on the other person and not trying to extract what you can out of them. It is trying to give them exactly what they need, and they'll increase your value that way, if that makes sense.
Beautiful.
No, it totally does.
Absolutely. Sweet.
I feel like it's hard to talk about one of the laws without talking about others.
Yeah, because
it really is
so interconnected. I mean, that's why it's so easy to tie them back and forth, because each one relates to the other one directly. And in every aspect of your life, like Pindar says in chapter near the end of the book when he's sitting there talking to him about the fourth law. And he always like a good business practice isn't just good for business; it's good for every aspect of your life.
Yep, when he's talking to him about it, him as a wife.
Oh yeah. When he actually sits down and actually listens to his wife. Oh,
yep.
That was. Thank you. That needed to be done.
It's how the 50-50 idea is a losing proposition. That I've read that in several books. That if you're 50-50, you're both losing. I mean, yeah, you both made a compromise. It's not a win-win scenario. You both failed equally.
Everybody I tell when I'm talking to them about a marriage, and I think it applies to most everything anyway, but you can never go 50% because 50%, even if you just have a partner, right? Going 50% doesn't work. If you have two partners, going 33% doesn't work. You all have to give 100% because when you're all giving 100%, at that point, you're all giving it everything. And that's how things work well together.
Well, and if you look at it as a math problem, the 50%, the 100%, so you have a group and the cumulative total is not 100%. The total number of people times 100. If you have 3 people, it's 300. And if you're only giving 50% or 33, you're not, giving.
That means you're getting 1/3 of the total effort.
Yeah. So it's not 100%, it's 300%, and giving 33 or 300%, that's not enough.
Yeah, and really most of the people I talk to, they're younger. But like you can't just give 100%. You need to give 110%. You need to give everything you got all the time. Because if you're making these compromises at 50% or less, it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do them any good. You just need to give it everything, and things end up working out usually when you're doing that.
So to switch gears just slightly, so to jump to the third law, I really like this one. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. I feel this is a big dynamic of family. It's like how we all talk about Griff and how we're always trying to not exactly one-up each other, but it's Griff is always so willing to go out and help you. It's not like you feel like you owe him, but you just feel like you kind of, I guess, at the end of the day, you owe him. I mean, but you just do it because that's the right thing to do. You don't keep score. It's not like you're keeping score. It's
Neither
just,
does he.
and that's the best thing to do. I feel like that's a huge dynamic in any family, not just our own.
It is, but I think that, with Griffith, what you're talking about, that's one thing that Griffith does. He just does it to do it and never keeps score on anything, ever. And so, but that's how, you're totally right, is that if in a family you can all work toward that without keeping any scores, your family, I don't know, relationship will work out better.
I think it's hard though because there's this, and it creeps into every family. I think it creeps into every relationship. There's this feeling of it has to be fair, and there needs to be justice. And how do you work with the concept of fairness and justice when you're not so say my kids, one of them consistently cleans up and the other one doesn't, then the one who cleans up for her sister and then starts to talk about fair. How do you in a real life situation, how do you stop keeping her? How do you
so long as the other person has that person's best interest at heart, it works out. But if there's only one person that's really involved and really cares about the situation, then yeah, it does become a very unfair situation. I mean, it's like in any family, we all have siblings that we don't get along with as well as others, or ones that we know are more takers than they are givers, and those you retract from. At least that's what I do. I mean, if you're not willing to give as much, if you don't have my interests at heart, I'm not going to make myself vulnerable again and put my interests, your best interests, in my direct path. There's somebody else that I feel I could benefit more.
So I totally agree with that. But I think with the law of tagline stop keep, I think that is something that we apply to ourselves. We can't try and apply it to our families as a whole, because if someone else is not willing to stop keep, if someone is always, then the dynamic doesn't really work. You have to accept it yourself, and then stop keeping score of.
I absolutely agree.
It's not your problem whether they're keeping score or not. It's not something you need to worry about ever. I mean, that's my personal. That's not your choice. I mean, it is your choice to not keep score. It's not your choice for them to keep score or not. So you just act the way that you want to act. And it's just like the golden rule, doing to others as you would do unto yourself, whatever it is. But what I'm saying, basically, is that you need to make those decisions based off of you, not off of somebody else's actions.
I guess the point I was trying to make was the reason I brought up Griff is because look at how all of us are willing to jump in and help Griff with anything, anytime, especially if he ever asks. It's like we'll drop anything to go help him. And that is because of that law. Put others' interests before your own, and it will always become reciprocated.
Yep, and that's the truth.
So what would it take to make that kind of relationship happen with everyone in your life? I mean, would you just have to, because that's one of the questions on this thing is like, ask what would it be like to have that kind of selfless relationship with everyone in your life, and what would it take to make that happen?
It would take everybody else doing it as well.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't start it. Yeah, and really example. That's right. Because again, going back to Griff, but like Griff, we all know if we call him, he will try to always drop what he's doing to help us. So we feel, not because we're keeping score, but we feel obligated to do the same thing because we know he would, then we should too.
Lonnon, obligated or inspired?
I don't even know if inspired is a good word. Yeah. It's not obligated. Obligated is a bad word for that. It really is. So you're right, but I don't know if it's inspired either. More just you want to go help him. So it's not out of obligation that I want to, and I don't feel inspired to do it. I just want to go help him because I know he's going to help if I needed that help, but not in a score-keeping type of way.
It's kind of hard to say it, but it's like, yeah, you're not like, oh, well, I owe him. It's no, I just to go do it. Like, I'm more than happy to jump up and go help you do it.
I think that sounds like inspiration. I think
maybe it is.
I think that sounds like being inspired is just like you've seen another way.
Well,
a better way.
I've seen other people. They've seen like with me and Griff doing that type of stuff, and they're like, well, don't your wives get mad about it? You going and always helping your brother or whatever. It's like, no. Sometimes maybe they're a little irritated that I leave, but they know that that if he needed help, that's why he's calling and asking. So it's just needed to be done.
So is it?
I don't think it's inspiration. That's the problem. It's not like inspiration. It's perspiration.
So
what, you're
he's
sweating?
modeling a behavior.
Sometimes.
So I have being the only female on this particular podcast, I may have a different perspective on this particular stop keep. If you are the only one in circle that is not score, do you think that opens you up to misuse?
Sure. I mean, just like he said in the beginning, aren't you capable of being taken advantage of when he first meets with Pindar? And he says, well, aren't people just going to come out and screw you? I mean, if you're being that open and that willing to help, aren't people just going to take advantage of you?
Some people are.
Well, yeah, some people will. Yeah, but it's more of karma, I'd say. I mean, the more positivity you put out in the world and positive thoughts and positive things, the more positive you're going to get back into your life, is the way I feel about it.
But definitely, there are people that are going to take advantage of that. But that doesn't mean you can't. Well, I don't know.
And but that's when it's don't judge unrighteously, is what it says in the scripture. So if somebody does take advantage of you, don't let them do it again and again. Learn from the situation and continue on with your life. Don't hold on to that grudge. Don't hate them for them taking advantage of you. Just don't let them do it again. I mean, be smart about it.
So you can be selfless without being...
Absolutely. The Lord never said be stupid. Get beat up over and over and over again just because that's what you're supposed to... No, that is how people have perceived that scripture, but no, that's not the truth. Don't judge unrighteously.
And I think also this stop keeping score, this law of can also apply to yourself. Stop keeping score with like...
Absolutely.
You screwed up this time. You suck. Stop keeping score with just do the good thing for yourself because it's the good thing.
Yeah, actually, my wife just the other day, she was reading, I don't know, some meme or an Instagram message, but somebody's like, I realized that every time I do something dumb or I trip on my feet, I'm like, gosh, you're so dumb. I say that to myself, and I realized that I just need to start saying, wow, I am the epitome of beautiful or like the epitome of
grace and beauty.
Yes, grace and beauty. That's what it was. And but if you can joke with yourself that way, when something actually does happen, you can be like, yes, I really am the epitome of grace and beauty.
I was having a conversation with my teenager the other day, and just trying to help instill confidence. And Stuart Smalley came up, and I'm like, Liv, you just need to tell yourself in the mirror, good enough, smart enough. Gosh darn it, people like me. She looked at me like I had 3.
I'm sure she did.
I genuinely don't know what you're talking about.
Me neither.
Ouch.
Yeah, well, me too, Skyla, because I did get it.
Yeah, we're pretty close. It's Stuart Smalley is a Saturday Night Live skit about a motivational speaker.
It's funny. Look at it.
It's really funny. Look up Stuart Smalley. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So did we
need to
skip a
move
law?
on.
Did we skip a law?
Yeah, we
Yes,
skipped
the
a
law of compensation.
We still have 3 laws to go. So.
We'll go faster. All right. The law of compensation, I struggle with a lot.
You?
I don't.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Why?
Yeah, because I feel like you go way out of your territory, I'd say, to serve people, Skyla.
I do, and I have a really hard time charging them.
But that's your fault. That's nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but I mean that made the law of receptivity too. But I if I'm getting paid for it, it doesn't feel like I'm helping, if that makes sense at all.
You feel like the services you're rendering aren't a service because you're charging for it?
Sometimes. I mean, think about how, when somebody says an active service, you don't charge for an active service. A service project is free. Charity is free. Things you do something with Christ-like love is free. So I struggle.
What about the example that they give in the book about the law of compensation, about that school teacher who went out of her way to make a program to be able to reach people more effectively? That couldn't have been done without money. That couldn't have been done without hard work and sweat equity. And yeah, now she's reaping the rewards from that. But at the end of the day, she did provide a huge service to the world. And so did the inventor of the car and the inventor of the computer and all of that other technology was all service.
And so do you, Skyla, with your ability to take your photos that you do and the value you add to that.
Okay, so here's something to think about, Skyla, and maybe you've already thought about it, and I'm not trying to say you're dumb.
Yes, you are.
I'm not. I really am not. But here's the thing. You've got to think about it. Even if you're doing this service, and it's for free for these people, they may not be paying you. So you may not have your income increased by that. But a lot of the time, those are the type of people that be like, you should use Skyla because she is so great at this, right? That might actually get you the paying jobs. And so by doing these service things and increasing those numbers you serve, you will always get more people. It's just like the Bunisas. The first time I went there, I had it. It was fantastic. I told Case, I told Barron, I told Griffith, I told anybody else I could talk to, you've got to try this place. It's incredible. And so because of that word of mouth, I know that their business is getting better because of that. And it's the same thing. If you are doing these things that are pro bono or whatever you want to as a service or just helping somebody out, those things usually come back to you tenfold. So that's the way you've got to think about that. And maybe you already have.
I have. And it's really hard to explain, especially to guys, because you are raised to go provide for your, and girls are more raised to provide service, help people, and money is a secondary,
right?
Or at least it was for me growing up.
No, I see it.
And so it's a lot harder for me to say, yeah, I can do this, and I love to do it, and I would absolutely to charge you. It's really hard for me to do that.
My wife has the same exact issue when it comes to the vinyl stuff.
It's a culture thing.
Yeah, it certainly could be. But the thing is that you've also got to be realized that there's more than enough people out there willing to pay for your expertise because you're good at something and because you offer it and because they want to support somebody local, that they're willing to pay you because of that.
Yep. It's just and I ran into this with my Rodan Fields too. I struggle asking. Really.
And lots of people do. There's no doubt about it. But you're not sometimes, depending on what you're trying to sell them, right? I mean, maybe it's more money than they should be spending, or more money than they can afford right now. So there's those type of scenarios, but there's also those scenarios that it's like, look, you're not trying to make their life worse by doing this. That's not what your goal or your aim is. And so you've also got to think about it in the fact that they want to support you so that you can also support your family, because they have it and they're willing to do so.
And because and this goes right back to reciprocity, law of...
No, that's receptivity.
So yeah, the law of receptivity, where I have to accept it.
Learn to receive it.
Be willing to receive it.
Yeah. So I mean, and like we said before, all of these go together, and yeah. But
and I was going to say that they go together not only in business but also in relationships.
In real life.
Yes, like I'm sitting here, like it's really hard not to sorry, I'm losing my track here. But how to enlarge the number of people you serve as a person, like church or at work or whatever it is. How do I go and do that?
But here's the thing: you also need to not necessarily think about serve as in just the service type of you're doing service for somebody that they're not paying for. This is also anybody that you're serving, as in if you're a waiter or the photographer or their vinyl maker. You're serving them this whatever tangible item or food or whatever it is. And so you need to be, anytime you can make that a larger number, that money is going to follow that larger number.
So, Case, to give you a perfect example of it, for you being a sales guy, you're a sales parts guy, right? So you sell parts to somebody who needs them. They call you, they're looking for parts. If you can offer them a service, and let's say that you don't even make any money on the part that you sell them, like you have to find it from somebody else to get it to them, well, that just saved them time. That just increased your value in their mind. You're going to be your next first phone call because you're the guy that's going to get it done. You're the guy that's going to find it. You're the guy that's going to add value to their life.
Not just that, but they're also, again, they're going to tell somebody else about you and say, you just need to call this guy. This guy's, he's fantastic. This is where you should be getting your parts from.
It's one of those, if he can't find it, it doesn't exist. He's the first guy you're going to call.
All right, so makes sense.
I noticed something in the synopsis log that it's your income depends on how many you serve and how well you. So even if you can't increase the number, can increase how well. So even if your number doesn't increase, your impact will and come that way. So like for instance, I work for one guy. I can't all my time is for this one guy, and I can't increase it. I can't increase that number, but I can increase how well I do my job, how well I serve him, and thereby impact.
And I also I just want to point out that when you are able to serve someone and do a very good job, I mean, it impacts your soul. I mean, it really affects your mood. Oh yeah, it makes you feel like, man, I did it, and it just makes.
That's exactly what Gus said. Or was that Gus, or was that? No, that was Pindar asking, and how'd that make you feel?
It feels great. Like sometimes it's like, man, it hurts to give away such good information, but at the same time, man, I'm really happy I was able to help that person out or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
well, and to go off on a slightly different topic, to talk about Gus, I mean, look at how many people's lives he was able to influence just by being able to connect them together. I mean, that they would have otherwise met, not been able to make this huge growth in their life. I mean, Gus is a key role in this book, and I think they do a really good job of floating around Gus because he's just this easy, laid-back going guy, but he has influenced these very successful people.
Yeah, and then each one of them goes and influences somebody else, which is phenomenal. But we got to move on, guys.
Okay. Authenticity.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So think of an instance where you played a role or acted a certain way because it was expected. What kind of response did you get, and how did it make you feel?
My high school career or childhood?
Please explain.
Yeah.
Well, I was a completely
acting.
I was acting at school because I was in theater, but when I was at school, I was a completely different person than when I was at home. And you all know that. I mean, I was a very angry person at home, but as soon as I got to school, I changed who I was, and it wasn't very authentic. It was just I put on a happy face to show that I was okay, even though I really wasn't okay.
I believe there's different types of like personas, though. I mean, you can have a persona and still be authentic. It's all like when I was over the young single adults in Las Vegas. I tend to be more shy. But when I was in that calling, I put on my I'm the guy in charge hat, and I'm going to make sure everybody feels welcome. I'm going to say hi to everybody, and I'm going to go out of my way to do my job. Yeah, but naturally, like you guys all see it, what do I do when we all gather for family events? I kind of like go out, I talk to a couple people, and that's it. Like I don't, yeah.
Baron's not in the middle going, look at me, look at me.
That's power.
Yes.
But
and Dane.
But was I any less authentic because I was fulfilling a role? I mean, would I have influenced as many people if I would have been my shy self and afraid to get out of my comfort zone? Absolutely not. So being authentic is just being who you are, not putting on a face of somebody who's different, being a better version or a different version of yourself.
So what would an example of inauthentic?
That's an excellent question. I think it's just being fake for the purpose of being fake.
But what purpose?
It's hard.
So, for instance, let's go back to high school. You invite there's a girl that is really good at a subject you suck at to be friends with, and behind her back you're like, oh, I hate her, but she's so good at math that I'm just gonna deal with her. And
yeah,
inauthentic?
I would say it's inauthentic.
I would say
it starts out that way.
It's somebody who will say things behind your back, but will be friends to you to your face. I mean, he's trying to keep up a front, but realistically, he doesn't like you. That's being inauthentic.
So a two-faced person, basically, we're talking about.
But I still think you should be kind. But does that make me two-faced and inauthentic?
No.
I guess that's kind of a rough place to be in. I mean, to go back to Davenport's example, she had a purpose. She had an agenda. The agenda was to sell you a house. The agenda wasn't get to know you as a person. The agenda wasn't to get to know what your needs and your wants were. The agenda was to sell you a house.
Yeah, it was close you.
Yeah. So ultimately, I guess it depends on where are you coming from. Sometimes it's not. It's an entirely inward perspective. Do you have an agenda with the person, or do you have that person's, yet again, best interest at heart, going back to another principle?
Well, here's one. I mean, like, for as much as I used to be on the phones, I don't enjoy being on the phones anymore. But when I see that, like, they're getting slammed, Baron and Griff and Tim, I see that, it's like, okay, I put on my owner Lonnon salesman hat, and then I'm the salesman, and sometimes it's aggravating, but sometimes it's it's fun to just help them out, and so it's me being authentic salesman Lonnon, but not necessarily me authentic Lonnon. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
I think part of it is, am I a human being interacting with another human, or am I a salesperson? And I think that
that is exactly right. That's why when people say salesman, that's why I never say I'm a salesman first. I'm technical support and a salesman, because I am there to help you, and if need be, sell you something.
Right. There's a stigma with salesmen of people just being pushy and don't care what you need or want, and especially in our industry, that is absolutely not just a stereotype.
That is so true. It's so sad.
It is, and so that's why we do what we do. But I mean, basically, what we've got to come down to is that if you're an authentic person, you're not just trying to take advantage of somebody. You really want to get to know them so that you can get them the right thing, and that doesn't, whether that's a diesel part or a house or whatever it is,
or nothing at all. If they want to buy something that's not going to help them at all. Yeah, unless they want it. I mean, yes, there are people that just want it for looks, but essentially that's still wanting it for a purpose. But there's I have talked several people out of thousands of dollars of stuff because it would do no good, and they didn't know it would do no good.
Right. But you were being inauthentic by saying, look, you can buy those parts, but it's not really going to do you anything. But even though they didn't buy anything from you now, because of that, there's a good chance they're going to come back to you later because you are authentic and
they'll bring other people with them.
Right.
Where
exactly.
They'll say, I know this guy he could have made a killing. He told me, nah, you.
Right, and that's the same thing with Deborah Davenport. Basically, she got her first cell, and then they're like, "Oh, she's great. You got to go talk to her. Oh, she's great. You got to go talk to this person. Oh, you got to, you got to." And so that's what's nice is that information is passed very quickly when somebody is authentic and not just looking to sell you or looking to just get you out of their hair.
I mean, who's had a bad realtor? I've had a really horrible realtor. And I wish that somebody would have said, like Dane, who had the same realtor, would have said to me, yeah, she was really bad for us too. Like, I didn't find out until after the fact. And she was just trying to sell me a house. I told her what I wanted, and she didn't listen at all. She was just trying to sell me a house. That's the only time I've ever felt like a mark in my life was with that particular. And I quite honestly, I told the person that referred me to her, I said, don't ever refer her to anybody ever again. It makes you look bad as a person. Ouch. Because she was that bad.
Ouch.
That
was a friend of mine. I don't want a friend of mine to look like she is trying to help any person who doesn't care about you. And
right,
I said, you are doing yourself a disservice by referring this person because she was not good to me. And she was not good to anybody I've talked to.
But that lady isn't being authentic to her clients. She's being authentic maybe to herself, but not to her clients. Does that make sense as far as authentic to herself? Because that's what she's looking for, is just a sell and a mark.
Maybe she's being authentic for...
Yeah, but she's not being authentic to you. And that's what maybe that's what it comes down to, is that you need to be authentic to, yourself, but not just the motivation for doing it.
And maybe this goes back to
people you're doing it for.
And maybe this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where you can be different situations. You need to be authentic situation to yourself and the situation. And if you are in the situation of trying to help somebody buy a house, not sell them the house, but help somebody buy the house, to be authentic to that role. That makes sense.
Yep,
in that situation you're in. All right, I think we can move on to receptivity.
We can.
Okay, let's do it.
The hardest principle to get grasped. So, the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving.
Daggum.
Yeah, so why is this?
It sounds really easy. I think the reason it is, and they talked about this at the end of the book, maybe in the discussions, and that's why I heard it. But they talked about how it's not easy to receive because we've been taught our whole life that it's better to give than to receive.
Nope, that's in the book, Lonnon.
But is it in the book? But I think that's one of the big things, is that we kind of are. We're always being told it's better to give than receive. Well, no, it's as good to give as it is to receive. But if you're the one that's giving and somebody's trying to make sure, you need to make sure that you're receptive to that gift if it's coming to you. And so that I don't know exactly why it's hard, but maybe that's one of them.
I think this goes back to culture. I think we're taught to be givers. We're taught to be charitable. The people who are helping. But if you are the person who's helping, how could you possibly need help?
Yeah. Well, and it comes down to pride as well, in a big way. Well, and I don't need help.
The pride is worse for you guys, I think, sometimes.
Guys in general, or just us
guys in general.
Again, it's a learned behavior. It's a taught behavior. And you're absolutely right. I mean, what's your thoughts, Baron Case?
We're totally taught and raised to be independent, be self-sufficient. You can do this on your own. You don't need anybody else's help. I mean,
how dare you ask for?
I don't know so much.
Well,
maybe.
Let's think about how we think about people who need welfare. There's a stigma involved with that, and I'm not talking about people who live there forever. Yeah, I'm talking about people who lost their job, lost their house, need help, and yet they feel it, we feel it. There's a stigma with it. And
absolutely.
And that's a big part of the culture. You're supposed to be the helper. You're not supposed to be the helped.
But I think you gotta. The biggest issue is that you gotta be willing to take those times that you had to take that help and turn around and be able to give that at some point in your life.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like, it might be easier to start out as the helpy because you know how it feels.
But it's so hard to keep going back to receiving help just because it's I'm good, I'm comfortable, I'm okay where I'm at, but I don't really need anything. But you have to be that person that for someone to give, you have to be the person that receives, right? I mean, that's how it works.
Look, okay, every time we've moved, Case, you and I can relate to this one big time, because think about how many people we moved in the Pebble Canyon ward.
Oh, yeah.
I have only in my life asked a ward to help me into my move ever. One time.
I think I asked, maybe. I don't remember if I did, actually, or not. But it always seemed
I don't think I've ever.
It just seems like a burden to ask them when I have family to help me, I guess, where other people don't have family.
And you've now robbed them of the opportunity
to serve. Yep. I mean, that is very true.
And that's, I've actually, except for money, all the other stuff, I'm actually pretty good at. I went through a period where I really did help when Auburn needed help, and I had the hardest time. And when I finally did, when I talked to Mike about it, when I friends about it, they wanted to help. And everyone always asks when you have a baby, when someone has an accident, they're always like, tell us how we can help. And we're like, oh no, we're fine. They want to help you, but they don't know how. And so by me saying, no, we're fine, I'm shutting them down. I'm shutting them off, and they don't get the opportunity to serve, and we don't have that opportunity. And so we have to, even little things like a compliment, we always say, it was nothing. It's no big deal. No, I'm not. And it's ridiculous. We should be able to say thank you.
That is one of my biggest things. I can't take a compliment.
Is it the Go-Giver that says "my pleasure" with Rachel's coffee, or is that in the second book? That must be in another book where she says that exact thing. It's don't say it's no big deal. Oh, no problem. Oh, something like that. No, she says "my pleasure." It was my pleasure to serve you.
Chick-fil-A.
She said it in the first one.
Okay,
but it becomes a thing in the second one.
It becomes a thing in the second one. It's now Rachel's coffee is this big old thing, and so all of her waitresses say "my pleasure," and they say that because it's my pleasure to serve you. It's not, oh, no problem, which would imply, oh, it would have been a problem. No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for coming in.
Right.
I love at a Chick-fil-A. I know everybody makes fun of it.
Their sandwiches just are too expensive. I could care less about the rest of it. But I think that's a good idea. I really like that. I don't know if I've ever heard him say it, though.
What?
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say "my pleasure."
I've only been there twice in St. George, and the one in Cedar City that's on the college campus, and I'm pretty sure they don't say it at that one.
Oh my goodness, the ones in Somerville and Goose Creek and Monk's Corner. I'm shouting out to you, Mandy Caston. That's the girls' kindergarten teacher. She's they always my pleasure. And like if you go there often enough, you start saying it back to them. There was a meme or urban myth that said if you beat them to my pleasure, you got a free sandwich. It's a myth that happened.
Darn.
I know, right?
So it's your pleasure to eat their food?
My pleasure.
Yeah, I get it. So them saying it makes sense. You saying it's not.
It's my pleasure to have experienced Chick-fil-A today.
Well, folks, it was my pleasure here to just talk to you tonight, everybody.
But we can say other things, but
yeah, I totally get it.
Actually, that one does make sense, though. It is my pleasure. I enjoy knowing that when Nick listens to this, and that other friends of mine, I know of some of them, maybe not every time, but they listen to it every now and then.
Yeah, it's great fun to hear when people, listen to your podcast. Oh, really? That's awesome. It is my
famous.
Pleasure. I am famous.
Yeah, even one of my employees, he's one of the trans guys. Like the other day I was talking to him, he's like, oh yeah.
Transmission guys. For all the people out there. Transmission guys.
he's my transmission builder. And Colton says, he's listened to a few of them. I was like, oh really? He's like, yeah. I haven't listened to them all, but so famous.
But okay, so how can you apply receptivity in your life? Like small things, big things, like how can you apply it in your life? Give me something specific.
Compliment. I really got to work on that. Because my wife tries complimenting me all the time, and it's so hard.
When you said thanks, there was so much sarcasm. It was like,
oh, yeah, it was really? You caught that, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Case, you're awesome.
Thank you, Skyla.
You're welcome.
But it actually says it kind of in the third part of that bullet. The next time someone gives you something, for instance, a ride, change for a vending machine, or for the problem, instead of thinking of what you owe in return, you how can you react differently? And that's kind of like the case the same.
Well, that's every time someone gives me a compliment, I automatically think, okay, now I have to compliment them on something. Automatically.
Yes.
I have to think of something. Oh, you've been great. Oh, no, you've been way better. You've just gone above and beyond. Thank you. Or
I do the exact same thing. I didn't even think about that.
Neither did I. You can't just say, no, I appreciate it greatly.
I don't do that.
Really?
No.
Well, you just say, I can think hey, of. Thanks.
Yeah, just like, oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
No, it's an automatic response. I got to think something else.
See,
but maybe that's because more and more, while I was, again, back to the phones. When I was on the phones, we have people call up. I love your video. Yeah, we really try and make it so that you guys can learn something from that. We really appreciate you guys watching it. And so, I mean, maybe that's, I don't know, but maybe
mine started with my name. So every time, and it's funny when it doesn't happen, but every time I tell somebody my name for the first time, they'll always say something like, oh, that's beautiful, or I love that, or that's so unusual, or something like that, right? And so I've gotten very used to going, oh, thank you, my mom made it up, or I might be the oldest one ever, or, that kind of stuff. So I've gotten used to taking that compliment, and like now if I tell somebody my name and they don't say that, I'm like, it's a part of the forgot.
Where's my compliment?
Hello, my name is.
I've kind of done the same thing with mine because I always say Baron, like the Red Baron, and
I love it.
I can always tell the people that actually heard my name and the ones that didn't, because ones are like, oh, that's cool, that's relatable, or the ones are like, oh, wow, that's amazing, and then they're like, oh, were you in a video? And I'm like, and then I tell them, so now I'm Baron from YouTube, but
I'm Baron from YouTube.
It's so funny. You got Tim and Griffith talking about it all the time. But
they make fun of me relentlessly because I'll be like, oh, well, if you ever seen the W horsepower 12 valve video and the mechanic in that one, or the 12 valve and the injector install video, and so yeah, they make fun of me relentlessly because every person that sits in the seat that I sit in is famous from YouTube.
But the same thing. Griffith does I'm Griffith, like Andy Griffith. The problem is most of our customers probably have no idea who that is.
Nope. But Tim doesn't do like the Tool Man. Like he does sometimes, but that was the perfect name.
What the heck? Why not? I would own that.
Like the Tool Man.
Well, because a lot of people, again, may not know who.
Oh, come on. Anybody in my generation does.
I don't know.
Mine's easy.
But at least more so than
Suitcase?
Tim.
Yep, I'm Suitcase without the suit.
Oh, that's fun. You should say like the tractor.
I do. Yeah. I say the tractor like the worst tractor ever made. Or like a case of beer. If I'm standing up, I'm uppercase. I'm sitting down, lowercase.
Oh my gosh.
If I'm really short on the phone, it's because I'm a briefcase. I could go on. There's so many ones. So mine's good. I like mine.
That's good. That is good.
But definitely my default is suitcase. It's just easier. Like suitcase without a suit. Because everyone tries to make, it's so weird. They always try to put a K in there or...
Try and make it so much harder than it really is.
It's literally Suitcase without the suit.
No, Lonnon's is the funniest because nobody can come up with Lonnon's name right.
Never.
No, ever.
No, it's just, they're like Lennon.
Well, even Mumble says
Lonnie.
Lennon.
Yeah, it's just like, guys, his name's not that hard, but I guess we grew up with it, so it's no different to us than any other name.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, guys, this has been awesome. Hit us up on our social medias at King Ugly Crew on Instagram and Facebook, and shoot us an email if you enjoyed the book. Give us some of your insights.
Please give us a book to listen to, or read.
We didn't really go through any of the actual questions.
No,
we kind of did.
We went more through the laws and just gave our own.
Yes, I gave our own questions with them. I loved it, and out of order completely.
Yeah, well,
totally out of order.
That's okay.
But they all bounced off of each other. I mean, why is that such a bad thing? They all intertwined so much.
Bad thing. I just thought it was funny.
You know what's funny? This podcast is 1/3 the length of that book, guys, or even about the same length, depending on how fast you listen to it.
That's really funny.
Yeah. What are we at? Like an hour 40?
No, hour 20 right now.
Yeah, but we were for like 20 minutes before.
Yeah, so this should be shorter in the actual podcast. But guys, it's been a blast tonight. We'll send a post out with our next book picking. I think it's Dane next time, right? He gets to pick the book.
Yeah.
Who does?
Dane does. So
yeah,
it'll probably be an Orphan Stock card book if I had to guess.
Probably
another one, which is fine.
Oh, so really quickly, if you guys are listening to this podcast and you have tips or tricks on how you guys follow the 5 laws.
Ooh.
Let us know. We want help. Thank you very much.
Instagram,
we will receive
Facebook,
those tips
definitely
and tricks.
receive those.
Yeah, we'll definitely receive them and then see if we can put them on the air too.
Check us out at kinguglycrew.wordpress.com.
And then the Gmail. I didn't even plug the Gmail yet. kinguglycrew@gmail.com.
We're all kinds of distracted tonight.
We are. It's late.
Yeah, it's like 9:30, 40 for me.
Welcome to my world, Lonnon.
Yep.
So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day and stay
ugly.
Stay ugly.